Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Community. Maria's here.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, we get this question all the time, which is about sponsorship. People ask us about sponsorship all the time, and someone called me a sponsorship queen. But you know when you're like, I'm merely a novice. Like I don't know
I'm
anything.
just a chicken nugget in the air fryer.
I'm not. When it comes to sponsorship, I don't even think I'm a chicken nugget in the air fryer. I'm like a French fry that was like left from the past meal that pops around with the nuggets. And it's just been so great to see how much like our sponsorship has grown so significantly over these past few years. But it's just been amazing. And people ask us all the time how we get sponsors. So we thought we'd record an episode. So now when you ask the question, we can just send you this link.
Which is, I feel like, your favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
Especially in our community.
I have to, because people ask us questions and I'm a yapper.
You're like, I've actually talked extensively on this topic, and here's a link to the episode. Mm-hmm. It's kind of convenient.
Whenever we do our Q&A calls, actually, this is my number one content tip. Whenever anyone asks me, like, how do I post on social? I'm like, what questions do people ask you? Answer those questions. And so whenever we're in the Q&A calls, if someone asks a question that I don't have a podcast episode to, I'll record it. Like, you know.
And here we are.
Which is, how do we get sponsors? Anyway, Maria and I are obviously, you know, everything we do is homegrown. We have actually a medium amount of education, but towards nothing too useful. And we started High Vibe Women a few years ago, and we never really knew anything about sponsors. We kind of were like, oh, I remember someone else did a sponsorship deck, so I was like, should we do a sponsorship deck? And we collected like $1,000 from a few people, and our big VIP night sponsor was $5,000, and we thought that was like insane amounts of money. And we ran an event. The event cost us like total probably $20,000. Now we laugh at our former versions of ourselves.
We laugh in the face of $20,000.
Literally every event we do now is over six figures. So it's like. Which is
not every event, just our big
events. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, we're like balling out of these brunches. No, but like our two flagship events are, you know, usually end up costing around six figures once we get through staff and all of that. But sponsorship has been key to us not only being able to continue to do these, but make them profitable, be able to, you know, pay for extras, which actually the women really love. Like, so that's something we've really prioritized. So we've been able to do some of that. And at first it really felt like sponsorship was out of reach. Mm-hmm. You know, we really leveraged our existing network, and we asked people to sponsor who were kind of like in our immediate circle. And so that worked really well. But over time, you know, we actually are very lucky. People sponsor over and over and over again, typically, which is like very generous. But over time, you know, you need new people to ask for money and new partners, and you want to bring new people to the community. And so this year, we have actually secured over six figures of sponsorship.
Whee!
By the way, Maria told me when we did six figures of sponsorship, there was a special milestone I could do, and I'm trying to organize it right now, and it's taken years off my life, but I will do it.
It was actually reverse engineered. She came to me and said, I want to do the special milestone. I was like, no, it's too expensive. She was like, how much sponsorship do I need to get to be able to do this special milestone? These are the negotiations we have, okay?
Yeah.
Because we always joke, you know, we're yin and yang, even though we're both extremely type B. But if it were up to Christina, we'd be spending millions and millions of dollars. And if it were up to me, we would never spend a dime. So we like to meet in the middle.
Yeah, and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And I said if she secured six figures of sponsorship, we could do the special milestone. And guess what happened?
I did it. And honestly,
she is a woman motivated by a special milestone.
This milestone's gonna be so sick that everyone's gonna be so obsessed with it, including us. And so, yeah, bitch, it's happening. But
it's really cool. You guys, when you find out about what it is, you'll be excited.
Yeah. It was just funny. But yeah, I was really excited. The six figures, it came fast, like actually way faster. But it's because we've been
putting in the work.
Years in the making, like Yarkel said.
This is what I was going to say. If you are like, hi, I'm day one starting an events business today, and I need this to feed my family tomorrow, that would not be my recommendation for you.
Yeah.
We have spent years building this, so don't compare your day one to our day, I don't know, 1,000 or whatever.
Yeah, definitely 1,000.
Whatever we're at now. Feels like at least 1,000. But as Christina said, we started really humbly. Our first event, we spent like basically nothing on, and kind of just went to see how it would go, had it really be like super low key, invited mostly friends, and we've really like built from there and learned a lot of lessons along the way. So hopefully today we can share some tips that will save you some time and energy on getting sponsorship dollars. But I think it's important to remember that if you're in the early stages of building an events related business, you're not going to see 6 figures of sponsorship right away.
Yeah.
And you're not going to see even like probably a couple hundred attendees right away.
Yeah.
You got to build up to these things.
Yeah, guys, honestly, even like we have some super expander friends, Marina and Jacqueline Crane Cultivate, who we love. And like Marina and I had this like great conversation where, they're collecting 7 figures of sponsorship for an event, right? That's different. And to which we aspire, but we're not there today, and that we don't compare. So, okay, mindset. First, you need to overcome the fear of rejection and approaching sponsors with confidence. And why I say this is just the most important is because sponsorship is actually a win-win. You're not asking for money. You're giving an opportunity. And that has to be the reframe. Because at first when we were doing it, I'd be like, oh, can we have $1,000, $2,000? No. Now it's like when we ask for money or we send a deck or we have a conversation, it's about the opportunity for them. Like they're getting in front of our most coveted resource, our community. And we love our community. Like we love these women. Mm-hmm. And so we're not putting bullshit in front of them. So if we think that they're a good fit and that these women will buy what it is in front that they're selling, then we know that there's an equal energy exchange. So we're not going asking for money. We're actually going with an opportunity, and that reframe is really important.
Yeah, I think that was really big for us at the beginning. Is we're like, why would anyone give us $2,000? And now it's like, oh, what an opportunity for this brand to be featured in front of this group of absolutely incredible women who are like influential themselves, making moves in their community, doing incredible things in business, like such an amazing audience. And also our audience trusts us. Mm-hmm. So we have to be careful with, like you said, we're not putting bullshit in front of them.
Yeah.
We're putting our names and our word behind the businesses that we're promoting too, right? So I think approaching it as an opportunity for the brand is really, really important. And also in terms of fear of rejection, like you're going to get rejected.
Oh my God, guys, there's a brand that actually has done me so dirty where like we have emailed and they basically committed to sponsoring them. They never speak to us again. And I'm like, it's been years, I think, of me emailing them being like, but you said you were going to give me money. I'm waiting. Like, it's just too much. Also, you have to have some self-respect at some point, guys. Like, don't. But persistence is actually part of it.
Persistence is part of it, but you can't take it personally. And if you're not getting rejected, you're not asking enough people.
Yeah, totally. We've actually, it's been interesting. We've had partners who have finally partnered with us. And they'll always say, they're like, wow, you are persistent. I'm not annoying. But, once a month, I will email them and be like, hey, like, I'm just following up on this. Like, I really want you to be on, like, I want to be on your radar. And people enjoy that. Much to our, we just recorded one about speaking applications. People don't want these kinds of reminders for speaking applications. So the other thing is thinking like a partner. So really making sure, like when I pitch a sponsorship, I think of it from the perspective of like, how is this partner going to get the best ROI from this event? Because I want them to invest again. Mm-hmm. So if I'm like, okay, how do I get 20 grand from them one time and then never get it again? Then that's what I'll get. But if I'm like, okay, I really am like want a huge partnership, with somebody, I think about what is a huge slam dunk for them. So even for example, the BDC have been partners of ours and they're coming in at almost a 10x what they came in at the first time. And a big reason for that is because the first time they came in, they were like dipping their toes in, mm-hmm. right? They were like, hey, we don't know you. You say you run a good event. We're like, we'll go first and we'll let you design a custom sponsorship package by whatever you want to give us. We worked really closely with them. And then when we went to them for a bigger amount, they were like, of course, right? They've been amazing partners of ours. But we really were like, these are the people that they want to be in front of. How do we make that happen for them? Mm-hmm. And really lean into that. So I love to talk to sponsors about like, what's a slam dunk for them? How do we over deliver for them? And really make that a slam for them.
Yeah, I think even just like asking the question of what they are trying to get out of the sponsorship or what's important to them, because you can build in the dark and come with this perfect proposal of like, here's all the deliverables you're going to get. And it's going to be 3 social media reels and 2 blog posts and this and that, and pitch it to them. And they might not care at all about the online presence. That might not be a priority for their business right now. Mm-hmm. So instead of just guessing, what are all the things that I think is going to make them happy.
Yeah.
I feel like it's about finding that middle ground between like understanding their objectives and what they want to get from the sponsorship, like what's actually important to them, and being a bit flexible in order to make it a success for them instead of just like, here are all the things I'd like to give you.
Absolutely. Yeah. The other is building your network. So I will say every major sponsorship opportunity we've gotten has come from meeting the sponsor IRL.
Yeah.
Or a connection, right? So BDC came from a connection. Scotiabank came from a connection. Like Adobe came from a connection. Like all of these people, Dubsado, we met them in real life. So a lot of the people who we've like, are doing bigger partnerships with, or really any partnerships with, they're people who we've connected with in real life, like in the flesh, and we get to talk to them, or have had a really warm referral. So again, building your network is important. We know somebody, they collect a ton of sponsorship, and they basically told us that they go to events to meet sponsors.
Yeah.
Like that's their whole thing. That doesn't mean going to events like High Vibe Women or, whatever events you're going to and just lurking people's sponsors. Like I get really excited, for example, like the BDC, they're sponsoring a few people who they met at High Vibe Women. I'm excited about that. I don't see that as competitive. You don't want to do that in the slimy way because sponsors know, but you just want to be building relationships. So going into rooms, building relationships is huge.
Yeah, not just like going around pitching sponsors, but going around like sharing your mission, why you're excited about your events, how they add value, and in like open, honest way that's in integrity. Then you never know who you're going to meet. Like a lot of these connections we've made to places like BDC. I don't know if BDC is an example of this, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Are people who like we've become friends with from attending events, and they love our mission, they love our events, and then they happen to know someone at BDC or they happen to know someone at Scotiabank or whatever the brand is, right? And then they can make that warm referral. So it doesn't have to be like you're going around creeping like, hey, you sponsor this event, you want to sponsor mine, but just like continually going into rooms and building your network, adding value, being of service, and then naturally those connections will come.
It's also way easier, guys, to get sponsorship when you have some proof of concept. So the first one might be tough, but from there it becomes easier and easier. So for example, we got 6 figures of sponsorship this year, but like a big piece of that has been like, I actually would say our 4 gold sponsors who we have for our October event, they didn't take that much pitching because there was so much social proof, right? 2 of them, we use their platform, we're really connected with them. The other 2 had heard about High Vibe Women in another way, right? And so it doesn't take as much now for me to be like, do you want to be involved? Because they see it as an opportunity as well. But the first few times, like, take sponsors in at lower levels, like, over deliver for those people and they'll want to connect with you more. The next is identifying the right sponsors. So how to research and target sponsors who fit your event's audience. So again, you really have to be thinking about who wants to get in front of your audience. So who is it a mutual benefit for them to be a part of your event? For us, it's like our girls love wellness. They love tech products. Like they love money. Like they love growing their business, right? So anyone who supports that, that's a win for us. We even have entrepreneurs involved with our events often, even though they're like, could be seen as a competitor. But for us, it's like they have an awards, like a section of their business. They run great events. We have other friends who run events we encourage people to go to. So, you want to find the right people where it's the right fit and they want to be in front of like your audience and they're a perfect fit there.
Yeah, I also think it's important to consider that the relationship be mutually beneficial. So for us, we're always thinking about being in integrity on who we're partnering with so that we're recommending things to our audience that are actually helpful and useful to them too.
Yeah.
So obviously that can kind of naturally happen if you're seeking out brands who align with your ideal audience, but you also, I think, want to make sure that you like believe in the product or brand, you believe they provide a good service or whatever that looks like, right? So that your audience, their lives actually improve if they end up working with that sponsor.
Yeah. We have also turned away good money, actually, where we've had conversations with people that have not felt an alignment. It hasn't felt like a good fit for us. And so we've said like, it's a no for us. One time it was like $15,000 and we had never had a $15,000 sponsor. And it was just the way the pitch was going was so off-putting that we just like couldn't keep it up. Like, so yeah, I think it's just important for you to know, like, is it win-win? The other piece is crafting a really winning pitch. So you really want to have proposals that highlight the value for sponsors. So we do have a deck we use, but I do get custom with it, right? So if I know a brand is like looking for, podcast assets, they're looking for social media, stage time, they're looking for this, they're looking for that. I really work with that brand to bring it to life. I don't like sit there and be like, okay, like I'm not gonna like, you said you want 5 podcast ads. Well, yeah, I offered 3. Like I think about what works. And that's been a lot of negotiating. Like we do a lot of negotiating with sponsors too, where people will come back and they'll want more of something or less of something, or they want stage time or they want this. And we're able to kind of, really chat about what makes the most sense. But it is really about a compelling story. Like what is the story you're telling with your event that a sponsor would want to get involved with?
I think it's also too important to keep in mind, like, what do you actually have capacity for, and what can you do?
Yeah.
Like, if a brand's like, hey, sometimes brands are like, I want you to like put on this webinar, and like we're gonna do this, and we're like, we don't really know how to do that.
Yeah.
This was pre our online community. Now it's a bit easier. But for example, as you all know, we have a marketing agency. Is it fairly easy for us to put together some social media posts? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it fairly easy for us to incorporate a podcast ad? Yes. So we know that those are like tools and levers we can pull to help bring these sponsorships to life. But if you're not, like, if you don't have a podcast, don't promise people podcast ads. You know what I mean? It obviously goes without saying, but make sure you're staying in integrity to what you can actually provide. And it's not going to be this huge new project and big lift that you then have to like figure out how to make come true. Know what's on the table, when you're making your offer.
Totally. Yeah, definitely. That's been a huge learning for us too, because it's like even assets day of. Sometimes people, we've actually made this mistake where we've like committed to making assets and then like forgotten and then been like, oh my God, we feel absolutely terrible. We have great systems in place for that now. But, we've made, of course, like every business, we've made mistakes. We couldn't replicate the event to take photos at.
Yeah.
But we had to make it up to the sponsor and we did. So, like, it's just, there's different things to keep in mind is like really like what's the right level of lift for you. Mm-hmm. And then the other piece and last piece is like really just maintaining really great relationships with your sponsors. Because for us, like what's a win is if someone sponsors over and over again. Like I think about Stacey. Stacey is somehow involved with every single one of our events, like of our big events all the time.
She's the best.
She sponsors 4 of our like dinners every year. Like, so it's like really, really like we have a great partnership. We want to provide a ton of value to her. So whether that be we do, an extra podcast ad for her, or we did Thrive Cookies the last time she did a dinner, or like, things like that where we can really just add so much value and really communicate with her and also show a lot of gratitude. That's something that's really important to us is that like we're showing a ton of gratitude. It's like being like very like we're just like noted, like we care so much. We're so grateful. We'd love to have you continue to partner with us and we continue to build that relationship.
And make sure you're actually following through with all the deliverables that you promised. Sometimes, they can't all be tracked.
Yeah.
Or even things like podcast ads. Like, would Stacey know if there were 4 podcast ads put out instead of 5? Like, no, she would literally never know that. Would we ever do that? No. So I think remaining in integrity on that, doing what you say you're going to do, and then also over-delivering and maintaining that relationship with the sponsor, just ensuring that they know how grateful you are.
Yeah, big time. Because, it's super easy for, it to fall through the cracks. And even for, and like being okay to take feedback from sponsors and vendors. Like even vendors, like that's been a huge one for us where we get feedback, like where people are like unhappy about where they were placed, or maybe they didn't make as many sales, or we have vendors that come back again and again and again and they're obsessed with it, right? Like, and like all things are good things. Like we love the feedback. So just being open to that, I think is really important. Any last pieces of feedback on sponsorship?
I don't think so. I think just be patient, be persistent, become friends with rejection.
Yeah.
And I think those are the most important pieces. I feel like you guys get it on the under promise, over deliver. Make sure you're doing the most for your sponsors, keeping great relationships with them. But as you're building, proof of concept first, and then go in with the persistence and dropping the fear of rejection.
Yeah. My last piece of feedback is if you get a no, it's not a no right now, or it's a no right now, but it's not a no forever. And what I will say is if sometimes I'll ask sponsors, this happened one time where I think we asked $10,000. We're like, and they were like, no. I was like, okay, like, how would you like to be involved? They're like, would 5 work? We're like, We're like, yeah, 5 would work. You won't get all the things you were gonna get, but you'll get tons, right? And and so it's like asking, like, hey, what level could you get involved at? Mm-hmm. Would you like to be involved at some level? Like, and also not sacrificing your own integrity for money. Like, I mean, that's a life lesson.
That's a good one.
But it's like we have always, every event we run into a few situations.
Yeah.
Where a sponsor
wants the world.
Or somebody who has some kind of power in our dynamic over asks. And it's always the like, we're customer service people. So we're like, yes, of course. But then sometimes it could hurt the event, and that's actually the most important thing, because you can get $1 million of sponsorship and put on one shitty event and no one's coming to the next one.
Yeah.
So, and no one's sponsoring the next one either. So you need to keep that in mind. And so we've been so blessed, again, guys, like, we do not take it for granted that this many people want to sponsor our events. Just absolute so much gratitude. And the fact that we're recording this in June. So we're 5 months out from our event, and we have over 165 tickets sold, like, for a 200-person event, like, insane. But that wasn't our day one. And so just keep on trekking. We know that this can be one of the hardest parts of getting an event together is the sponsorship. But you can do it. Just keep putting the building blocks together.
Just keep going, baby.
Just keep going.
Just keep swimming.
And make some fun goals. Swimming. And ask your business partner if you can do something fun if you reach them. Stay out. We're just here swimming. Stay close to it. It's worth it. It's worth it. Anyway, thanks so much, Mari. This is such a good episode. And let us know what you're going to try when it comes to sponsorship. And don't forget to tell us about your fun events. We love coming.
Yeah, we love coming.